Hi, 7th graders. For today's assignment that is due on Monday, we are beginning a figurative language story. So for Monday, there is a rough draft that is due. Okay, so you are writing a story about anything, as long as it's appropriate. It needs to use at least 10 pieces of figurative language. So if you look at my bold, the story must include at least one simile, one metaphor, one personification, one hyperbole, one alliteration, one onomatopoeia, one allusion, and the other 3 are your choice. And you can absolutely use that notes sheet that is on Schoology. Please do. But we've been practicing these figurative language pieces, so you should know what they are. The story needs to make sense, it should flow together, and then it needs to be at least 20 good sentences. Not every sentence should have figurative language in it. I'm going to say that again. Not every sentence should have figurative language in it. This is your rough draft. We're going to write it on Google Docs. You will write a final draft, or we'll do a final draft after I make comments and possibly conference with you. Okay? If you're having a hard time thinking about a topic, because you can write about anything, you can choose one of the ideas below. Okay? Here is kind of an example. So this is called Princess Penelope. Tonight was the night she had been waiting for. Princess Penelope was head over heels for Prince Patrick, and she had finally persuaded her father to allow her to attend the royal ball. So head over heels is an idiom. She could hardly wait. Upon hearing the news, she sprinted like a cheetah, so simile, all the way down to the royal shop to pick out the perfect dress. As she searched through the racks, each dress seemed to shudder with excitement, waiting to be chosen. There's personification. Glancing around, Penelope's eyes landed on the most beautiful dress ever made. There's a hyperbole. The dress was a sparkling ruby. That is a metaphor. It's saying the dress is a sparkling ruby. As it reflected light from every angle, Penelope thought the dress must be the color of Dorothy's slippers. And Dorothy, that's an allusion because it is referencing a famous character in a movie, in The Wizard of Oz. Trying on the dress, Penelope knew it was meant to be worn by her. Now at the ball, her dress swished, that is an onomatopoeia, as she passed the prince. There's alliteration. When she turned around, she found his eyes fixed on hers like laser beams. And there's a simile. So notice, not every single sentence has figurative language, and it makes sense. Okay? All right, so here's my example, and here's kind of how I want you to format as you're writing on Google Docs. It must be formatted like this. I slowly opened the door and took my first step outside. Boom! After you use a piece of figurative language, in parentheses, I want you to write what kind of figurative language it is. I bolded mine. I think that's a great idea to do too. Okay, so onomatopoeia. I instantly screamed. I was as scared as a toddler who lost their mom in the store. In parentheses, simile. I don't normally go outside during a thunderstorm, but my dad needed his medication from the mailbox, and our mailbox is across the road from our house. Notice how that sentence does not have any figurative language. I was the youngest in the family, so naturally, I am always the one that has to do the task that no one else wants to do. That sentence doesn't have figurative language either. As I looked around, the night was a black chalkboard. Metaphor. The leaves and branches were whistling as they swayed in the wind. Personification. I was halfway to the mailbox, even though it seemed like I still had miles left to walk. Hyperbole. That is how I want you to structure your writing in Google Docs. All right, now we're going to look at what does the assignment look like on your end. Okay? First, you need to watch this video. I hope you're doing that. Second, you are going to create a Google Doc, a new Google Doc. Number 2, you're making the title your first name, last name, and then FL story. FL stands for figurative language. And then number 3, you're sharing it with me, Samantha Pashi. It's the pink one. And then number 4, begin writing. Okay, now for Monday, here's what you need. You do not have to have the whole story written. You need 7 pieces of figurative language in your story and at least 10 sentences. So basically, For Monday, you need 10 sentences. 7 of those sentences need to be figurative language. If you have questions, you will have questions. Please email me. And then I am going to have a Zoom help session at noon today. Noon today. You can pop on, ask me questions. I can look at your document. I will be making comments as we go throughout the day. But please ask me any questions. Email me. Hop on for the Zoom help session at noon, and we will get through this together. The one thing about your figurative language that I have not said yet, if somebody else in the class has already used that piece of figurative language, nobody else can use it, okay? Your figurative language has to be creative. It has to be new, okay? So if we already used that example in class on one of our practices in the story I just shared, you cannot use it. You have to come up with new figurative language because there's so many good ones. Okay, so coming up with your own figurative language. Use the figurative language notes sheet on Schoology, and like I said, email me with questions, or I'd love to see you in chat. Join the Zoom help at noon today. Good luck. Be awesome.